All right. Welcome, everybody, to another BDA Boxing Podcast. Special Sunday edition post-fight commentary brought to you by the usual suspects. This is your host, Mr. BDA, broadcasting to you live from the true north. And, of course, as always, with me, my co-host, King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sensational. Again, if anybody wants to join us, go to Google Hangouts and send us an instant message via the email address on the top of your screen, boxingdebate@hotmail.com. That is boxingdebate@hotmail.com. It tends to get pretty crowded nowadays. We only have 8 spots, though, if you count Bucho and myself, so better make it quick. Better make it real quick, because after that, there's no more place left. Also want to thank everybody that's donated to Patreon so far. I know Steven Skillrose, we haven't had time today. We didn't have time to include his name in there. He just subscribed. So shout out to Steven, who gave us a nice contribution. Also, don't forget, you can make small donations via the Super Chat feature. That's on the YouTube chat right there. Don't forget, those who are listening on Spreaker, we are streaming live right now on YouTube. So if you want to catch the full unedited version, scamper on over to the YouTube page. That's youtube.com/BDA Boxing, youtube.com/BDA Boxing, and catch the whole unedited version. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's in the chat room. Dak Fuk, F-U-C, not the curse word, which is a big no-no here at BDA Boxing. Nesmatic, Boxing Battenberg, Boxing Style, Pavel, the Boxing Junkie, J Division, Chris Gonzalez, Bal Sagat, and many more to come, I'm sure. Boxing Style says, I won't be able today. Oh, fuck. Well, listen, Boxing Style, while you're there, just want to, because I want to read the predictions that we made for the Stevenson-Jack fight. Boxing Style had said that, fuck, where's his prediction here? All right, Stevenson by KO 5. He almost did get him out in the 6th when he started opening up on Badu Jack. When he went to the body, he doubled Jack over. Almost stopped him. I mean, let me tell you something. This Adonis Stevenson, we all knew it before the fight. That's why it was a 50-50 fight, because he can be losing a bunch of rounds, but then he just opens up and he hurts you to the body, man. So, Boxing Style, you almost had that one right. As for the Russell versus Diaz Jr. fight, he picked Joey Diaz by 10th round stoppage with a body shot. Let me tell you something. Diaz was throwing some mean body shots. Real leather downstairs. But he just couldn't keep up with Russell Jr. I mean, maybe it was a bit too soon, much too soon for Joseph Diaz Jr. He did handle himself pretty well, but he ended up losing that one by unanimous decision. Spoilers, by the way, for anybody that hasn't seen the fight. And, of course, in the fight that everybody was looking forward to the most, which was Badu Jack versus Adonis Stevenson, who many people still consider to be the linear light heavyweight champion of the world, Adonis Stevenson, managed to slip by on a draw, retain his title. Very close fight. We're going to talk about that and some of the shenanigans. Maybe a little bit of shadow play that went on in that one. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the stream. Gotta keep saying that during the broadcast. Shout out to Corin Bread, Subhash Kunwar, Dopamine. I think we got Endorphin coming up next to Dopamine. But anyway, John Gonzalez and Chris Gonzalez are in the chat. Chris says 2 a.m. here in Manila. Okay, do you have to tell us every time what time it is in Manila? Every time you come on here, Chris, it's like, it's 2 a.m. in Manila. It's minus 27. Like, come on. This isn't the Weather Channel. Get it together. Boxing Junkie says the promoter, it's his job to set up the event. Oh, yeah, because J Division says serotonin is next. There's a little bit of controversy going on here in regards, because I read somebody here in the chat was saying that, was it here or was it somewhere else? Hold on, let me check it out. Somebody was saying that Jack's strategy was to make it close, take it to the distance, because he was sure that his promoter, Floyd Mayweather, was going to have one of the judges. But it's interesting. It was 2 judges had it a draw and 1 had it for Badu Jack. So it was a very close fight. I'm going to tell you how, if anybody hasn't seen the fight, here's how it went down. First 4 rounds, very close rounds. 5th and 6th, no, even I think the 5th and 6th, but maybe the 5th, you'll give it to Stevenson. 6th round, Stevenson opened up. He hurt Baidu Jack. And then in the 7th, he started out strong, but then Baidu Jack finished that one strong himself, and he actually seemed to have Stevenson in quite a bit of trouble in the 7th. He had him in a lot more trouble in the 9th. And then after that, the 10th round, Stevenson came back. 11th round was sort of close, and then the 12th round should have gone to Baidu Jack. I want to talk about how Lou Deval, I don't know if it's Lou del Valle, or I think he's Puerto Rican, of Puerto Rican descent, I think, but he former light heavyweight champ, title holder, famous for dropping Roy Jones when Roy Jones was in his prime. And Deval was really doing a good job in the corner, motivating. Deval was telling Jack, listen, he's gonna tire, this is what we want, keep planting little body shots on the inside, the old man's gonna tire. Well, lo and behold, as most of us knew, Stevenson did start slowing down in the 6th. The problem with Stevenson is, and I don't know if Lou Deval predicted this, but usually Stevenson gets a second win. And he can fight even when he's tired. And in the 10th round, you saw what happened. He fucking drilled Jack with a nice straight left to the plexus. He has that type of power. He can get through your defenses. He can break through your guard. And it was a pretty close fight. I'm happy. I mean, not happy. I'm fine with the draw. I think I actually, after the 11th was over, I said, oh boy, this fight, it's going to end in a draw. It's going to end in a draw. And it did. But here's the problem. The referee, Ian John Lewis, or John Ian Lewis, whatever his goddamn name is, this is the guy who let Bernard Hopkins and Jean Pascal hit each other with rabbit punches during their 2011 rematch. And he warned them over and over, but never took any points away. He's also the same referee that let Vitaly Klitschko beat Shannon Briggs almost to death. Now, listen, it's not entirely his fault. The corner didn't do anything either. And, maybe the doctor didn't do anything himself. But the referee is also at fault here. And then in this one, he kept warning. He didn't warn Stevenson in the beginning for holding, which was quite a lot. Then finally, Jack starts holding when he's hurt, and he warns Baidu Jack for holding. And then finally he warned Stevenson during the fight, hey, stop holding. But he never took a point away. And then when Stevenson was surviving the 12th round and holding and doing his best Randy Couture imitation, that should have been a point off, because if he wouldn't have been able to hold, it would have been a 10-8 round for Baidu Jack. I think Baidu Jack was ready to open up, ready to batter him the way he did to DeGale in their fight. And then you saw in the last 10 seconds, he almost dropped Stevenson. So whichever way you want to cut it, it could have been a 10-8 round easily for Baidu Jack, but we'll never know because the referee let Stevenson hold, which he should have taken a point away, because that's what Baidu Jack deserved. And I think if they would have given him that 12th round clearly, I would have had Baidu Jack winning the fight. Now here's the thing: people are saying, well, Stevenson got off to a quick lead. He took the first 4 rounds. I rewatched the fight this morning, the whole fight. First 4 rounds could have gone either way. Yeah, Stevenson threw more punches according to Punch Stats numbers. And in the end, they also had him throwing more punches and landing more, I think. No, actually, scratch it. I don't know if he threw more, but they had him landing about 15, 20 much more punches. I didn't see him out landing Stevenson in the first 4 rounds. In fact, I saw Stevenson landing one good right hand here, a couple of good body shots there. And I could have, if I had to score the fight, I would have given maybe 3 rounds out of the first 4 to Jack. So I don't know where this fucking early lead for Stevenson comes into place. It was a little bit too close. And I'll say this. Same thing I said last week with Linares versus Vasily Lomachenko. If you let your hands go, the judges are going to give you the benefit of the doubt. It's the way it works. So he did himself a service here by Stevenson by letting his hands go. Even though he was hitting just elbows maybe and guard and gloves, yeah, the judges were still quite impressed by that. And so you remember there was a point where Baidu Jack was trying to circle away and Stevenson grazed him with a shot and Baidu Jack sort of got off balance. He wasn't hurt, but one judge or two, they might think, oh, he's hurt, he caught him clean, so I'm going to score that blow for Stevenson. So that's what I'm saying to all the young guys out there. Let your hands go. You never know if the judges are going to give you the benefit of the doubt. All right? That's the way I see it. I see we got Cameron on the line.
Fuck, mate, it's life, man. You only live once. Make the most of life. Enjoy it. Everybody's got their weird fetishes, man. And mine just happens to be eating fucking ass.
That's right. We got Cameron on the camera. Are you there?
What's going on, man? How's it going?
Good, good. Nice and early this time, right?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I got on this time and didn't take anybody's spot. So
You're a pirate. That's what you are. It's your British. It's a British heritage you have, because there were a bunch of pirates. I don't know if you know.
yeah, man. Well, thankfully, I'm not a pirate.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you might have some pirate blood in you. I think most Brits do. Actually, wait a minute. Am I confusing British pirates with French pirates? Anyway, listen, it's not important. Talking about the Badu Jack versus Stevenson fight. Hopefully, we'll get to the Russell versus Diaz fight, because I don't think anybody wanted to talk about it last evening. Let me tell you something, Cameron. This fucking referee, Ian John Lewis, whatever his name is, Badu Jack punched him last night accidentally. Although the jury's still out on that one. Do you think he should have had more based on how he refereed that fight, or am I exaggerating here, making a big deal out of nothing?
No, well, obviously he got hit in the face because of his own sort of bad work. So he put himself in that situation when he shouldn't have been put in that situation, and he paid the price for it. It's one of those things like you face the consequences. The referee, Ian John Lewis has had obviously he's from the UK. He's refereed a lot of fights over here, and he's done a terrible job with them. And for someone like Ian John Lewis, I mean, I don't know why he was refereeing that fight last night, because Stevenson Jack was a big world title fight. I thought he could have got a lot better referee than Ian John Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like him getting hit by Jack was kind of a taste of his own medicine, because I thought his job last night was horrendous, to be honest, especially in that sort of standard fight.
Listen, one of the things I like about the Showtime commentary team is they call it like they see it. We sometimes we'll make fun of Al Bernstein and his goofy haircut, or Paulie Malignaggi, or of Mauro Ronello, but they called it like they saw it, and they got it right, man. This fucking referee, every time, here's something I noticed. When Stevenson was slowing down and Jack was starting to open up on the inside, Adonis would clinch him, and Jack would have to fight to get one arm or both arms free. And once he got him free, that's when the referee stopped him and separated them. And every fucking time, man, it's not my imagination. I'm not that crazy. That's what I saw. Every time Jack finally pulled his arms out, oops, all of a sudden he fucking separates them and restarts them. I mean, there was something iffy here. Either the guy's incompetent or he was corrupt, man. That's the only two things I can see.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Ian John Lewis, I mean, I actually had a conversation with Ian John Lewis once before a fight. He was refereeing a fight, and I was speaking to him about the fight. And he was asking me, this is a true story. This was about 2 years ago. I was speaking to Ian John Lewis the night before he was refereeing a fight over here. And he was kind of speaking to me about the fight. And he was asking me, who's good, how good the fight is, and, how good their chin is, everything like that. And I thought, well, this guy shouldn't really be asking me this sort of thing. Because, sort of thing. So I was kind of quiet about it. For me, Ian John Lewis, I wouldn't class him as a legitimate referee. Like I said, I don't know why they got him over for that fight last night. I think he could have got any American trainer, and it would have been done a much better job. Ian John Lewis, he's refereed quite a few big fights, but I don't know. I think he was completely the wrong choice before the fight. When I saw it was refereeing, it kind of showed in the fight.
It's bad news when the referee is asking you questions about how to referee, and it's even worse when you see the referee and he's asking you to help him tie his shoelaces. That's the red flag right there, that the guy shouldn't be refereeing. Is he the WBC referee, by the way, or is he because I've seen him.
No, he's not connected to the WBC.
I thought he was, because he refereed, like I said, the Vitaly Klitschko Shannon Briggs fight and the Jean-Pascal Hopkins fight, which I don't know if that one was for the WBC title, but he was in Montreal, in Canada as well that time. So I don't know why they keep calling him to referee fights in Canada. Keep him out of Canada, please. We get enough bad decisions and bad ring keeping here.
Did he not do the Dawson Pascal fight or not?
I'd have to check. I'm gonna Google that in a couple of minutes. By the way, you had Stevenson 4th round KO. Almost happened in the 6th. Almost happened in the 6th and in the 10th, but he just couldn't. Stevenson just didn't have the stamina to do that one.
Yeah, man. I really want to talk about this fight, but I just see Stu's popped on, bro. If you want to.
Yeah, we got Stu on the line.
I wasn't bad,
I
though.
told you what's going to happen to Price. I told you he's going to be sleeping. I told you the ambulance is going to come. The oxygen mask is going to come out. I told you he's going to miss the main event. I told you all them things were going to happen.
Evening, lads.
Good.
Or afternoon where you are.
That's right. Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, right, man.
Still glad to have you on board. We're just getting started talking about Badu Jack versus Stevenson, but we got to get to the important stuff first about that fight. The referee.
I think he missed a few low punches, but to be honest with you, I don't think it was as bad as you guys are making it out to be. I thought he was not too bad. I don't know, you know, that's just me. I've seen a lot worse refs than that.
Put an empty chamber now.
He let them fight. I don't know. I just don't see what the problem is with him. I've just seen a lot worse than that. So I'm used to referees being poor now. So when they're even substandard, you know, I'll let it go because that's good enough for me at the moment. Because at this time right now, we've been getting some real poor refereeing displays. So I don't know. I've only just jumped on. So what was the problem, guys, with the ref?
You know, you fucking Stu, always sticking up for the Brits, right? For your fellow Brits. That's how it's going to work around here, Stu?
I mean, I don't rate Ian John Lewis. I think he's a very poor ref, to be honest with you. He's ruined a lot of fights, but I thought yesterday was a good fight. And I don't think he was too bad. I thought he's been a lot worse. That's what I'm trying to say to you. So, well, what were you guys not happy with then? Because I've just jumped on.
All right. Well, Cameron and I guess we saw the same thing, but we saw Ian John Lewis. He wasn't actually no, Cameron. I don't know if he agreed with me on this one. Cameron, did you agree with my assessment? Just to be sure, as I go forward with this.
Yeah, pretty much, bro. Yeah.
Okay. So here's what he did, Stu. Here's what I saw. I could be wrong. Again, maybe I have to rewatch it a third time. First of all, every time he didn't warn Stevenson for the holding, he never took a point away, especially in the 12th round when it was excessive and it was helping him survive the fight. Second of all, he warned, I think, Stevenson once after 20 clinches. And then the first time Jack clinched in the 6th when he was hurt, Ian John Lewis warns him right away. All right. And every time Stevenson would clinch, he would let Ian John Lewis would just stare. And then when finally Badu Jack was able to free one arm or both arms and was ready to work, whoops, all of a sudden, it's time to separate them. Call, action, stop, and separates them. That was just, I saw that a bunch of times. After the third time it happened, I kept my eye on it, and it kept on happening. And that wasn't a coincidence, man. He was breaking it up once Badu Jack was able to get one arm free to work. All right. I think he knew what Stevenson was all about. I'm just saying here. Yeah. That's what I saw.
I noticed a lot of the holding, but I could actually hear him because I did it quite loud. And I could hear the ref saying most things. And I kept hearing him say, work your way out of it. So I think he was letting them try and punch their way out of the hold. But really, he should have been, getting a hold of it, and start warning fighters because the Stevenson holding got ridiculously bad. I mean, it was just constant. He was hanging on for dear life. I mean, I agree. He did let the team down a little bit with the no warnings for the holding. But in general, I don't think it was a poor display.
Well, listen, the Showtime commentators.
How many times will you watch fights and there's been just bare holding and nothing been said from the ref?
That's true. That's true. But it still doesn't make it doesn't make it better. I agreed. Ian John Lewis is not a very good referee. I was shocked when I see him there. I was like, "What the fuck's Ian John Lewis doing here?" Exactly.
That's what I said, man. That's what I said.
Yeah, I was very shocked. I mean, there's better referees in Britain than him, that's for sure.
And I also don't like the way he reacted to getting hit. He acted like a bitch. If I would have gotten hit in the face, I would have told Badu Jack, "Is that all you got, motherfucker?" I would have said, "Hit me one more time, bitch. That's all you get." Because I'm a tough motherfucker.
You got to remember, man. He knocked James DeGal's teeth out. So I'm.
Yeah, he's lucky. Yeah, Ian John Lewis is lucky he's not looking like Bucktooth Jimmy over there after the fight. By the way, before we continue, we got Pavel and we have Precise on the line.
Dependent upon how you interpret the data.
What's up with all the transvestites in Hollywood, though?
Because if you're a postmodernist and you don't have any standards, you're always going to keep moving the goalposts, and you're never going to stick to your own standards because you don't have any standards.
That's right. You gotta have standards. I'll tell you who doesn't have standards. I think Ian John Lewis. I think either somebody got to him or he's a little bit too corrupt. Precise, Pavel, thank you for being on, gentlemen. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Good to have everybody on board. I'm glad it's starting to fill up real nice already. Very early today, so glad to have you on board. everybody. Let's start with Precise. Precise, what was your assessment of the referee? Let's start with that.
I agree with what you and Cameron were saying. I mean, clearly he was there to help Stevenson out, and even though it was Stevenson who initiated all the low blowing, and Badu Jack, who's no cupcake and has a history of doing that, was really more just responding to what was being done to him. He really should have, the referee, that is, should have taken control of the situation. Just because he's warning the guy, that doesn't mean dick if the guy keeps doing what he's telling him not to do. You got to put your foot down. You got to stop that shit. You know what I mean? If you want to take a point from Jack for low blowing and then take a point from Adonis for holding, he should have done that. It made the fight that much less enjoyable, and it's just not a good fight in my opinion. And the referee was a big reason why it was so.
Yeah, I agree. It could have been a better fight if it wasn't for the holding. That's my opinion. Pavel, what do you think about the referee? Was he incompetent? Are we making a big deal out of nothing here?
No, I mean, he should have known better. He's the referee after all. And what I've noticed is that he kept yelling, no holding, while standing there and just watching. And I'm like, split them up for fuck's sake. 50% of the fight was spent in the clinch.
Exactly. Yeah. Who said that? I think it was Malignaggi at some point. He said, man, Stevenson's spending his clinch more than he's been punching this round. It was in a particular round. I think it was a 7 or 8.
I think now you guys mention it, then you probably got a point. You got to remember, I'm watching fights at 5:30 in the morning, bro. I'm not really, I'm just looking at the fight. I'm not really taking much notice of anything else. So the fight was an entertaining fight for me. So it's not where the referee spoiled the whole thing. That we did get 12 rounds of a good fight, but with the holding, you're right. When you think Pavel's right, really, I mean, he could have jumped in. He could have saved us a good 9 minutes of boxing. It was probably 9 minutes of that fight was probably holding at least. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's at least the 12th round. Badu Jack deserved that round, and Stevenson was just clutching for dear life. I didn't get Bucho's opinion. Bucho, what do you think? What did you think? Learn. I think you're gonna agree with us, right? Or at least I hope. Bucho, you there? All right, I think he might.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was doing fucking dishes, man. Yeah, I agree with everything. The referee wasn't. I mean. Yeah, he had an agenda, let's be honest, but he wasn't as bad as that referee in the Gary Russell Jr. fight with Diaz, man.
Kenny Chevalier.
Man?
Kenny Chevalier. Good old
Chevalier, I don't know.
This motherfucker, first of all, he's shorter than the featherweights, so he's always looking from above, and I don't know if he can see the action clearly from his height. Second of all, this is a guy, I remember when Hopkins fought Andrew Council, I think it was like Hopkins' 6th defense, it was in Maryland as well, I think it was in the state of Maryland, and this guy kept screaming at both guys. Every time there was a clinch, he would slap both guys fucking super hard on the back. I think even Hopkins said after the fight, he says, I think the referee hit me harder than Council did. This is a guy that's always screaming at people. He's always dancing around the ring.
Sometimes they weren't even clinching and he's like separating them. Like,
exactly.
He doesn't even know the rules of boxing.
He should have refereed the Badu Jack Stevenson fight. It should have been the other way around, man. They should have let Ian Jones.
My God, that 12th round, man, Stevenson was just holding on for dear life. Refs not doing jack fucking shit, man.
He should referee midget mud fights or something.
Why do they have to be?
He belongs at a carnival, not a boxing ring. Give me a break, man.
Yeah, why does it have to be a mud fight? Why can't it just be two midgets fighting?
The thing is, we've got no personalities when it comes to referees anymore. Can you remember back in the day we had Mills Lane, Richard Still, and I know Mickey Van from the UK, just characters, great refs that went on to the decent age. They could still hold it at the top level in their 60s sort of thing. But these referees these days are fucking terrible, man. A lot of them don't understand boxing. I'm sure a lot of them don't understand when a fighter's hurt, when he's recovering, when someone's holding properly. I just don't think they understand the sport properly. A lot of them. Like Cameron said, when you've got referees going to young guys that do YouTube channels asking for advice, you know you're in trouble, don't you?
Absolutely. But I mean, do we really want referees with personality? First of all, I don't want to see the referee. Like, remember what they always say: a good referee is the one that you don't see during the fight. In other words, if he stays out of the way and
what I meant by personality, I didn't mean by a referee going and acting like Adrian Broner and things like that. You know what I mean? I'm on about just
character.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Character. Look, we all know about the Richard Steeles and, like I said, the Mills Lanes. We all know about them still. Do you know what I mean? And they were good referees. They weren't really, celebrities so much, but they were referees that we respect, Hall of Fame referees. And when they was in world class fights, world championship belts, they never really ruined the fight, did they? But how many times have we been counting the fights that have been ruined by referees lately?
Yeah, that's a good point. We need referees that are gonna either let them, like Steve Smoger. I thought he was a good referee. Every referee has their bad days at the office, but there needs to be somebody that's firm. But at the same time, if he realizes that both guys, let them do a little bit of the dirty stuff, let them work their craft. But if it gets out of hand, then he should be firm and take. Nothing sends a stronger message to a fighter than taking a point away. All right. And this Ian John Lewis, it seemed like he was afraid of taking points away. I don't know. It was weird, man. And by the way, people in the chat room are asking, like Reese Max says, BDA, did you think Badou Jack held back his punches during the first 6 rounds on purpose in anticipation of Stevenson becoming tired in the second round? Absolutely. Lou Duval even everybody saw it coming. If you watched Stevenson fight, you knew he was going to fade at some point. And I think that's what Stevenson was planning. Jack was planning. So now let's get to the really important.
That's the game plan. That's the game plan I actually said, bro. If you look back on the last show, I'd said that Jack would have to take the sting off Stevenson's punches early and come on strong in the latter rounds like he always does. The problem with Jack, he got his tactics right, but he left himself for no errors. So in other words, you can't keep giving away 3 or 4 rounds and then come on strong, because if you get caught like he did in the 10th and lose a round badly, then you're constantly catching up. You can't even take a break. You can't even take a round off. You just constantly got to be. It's a lot of pressure on you, and I think it's the wrong way to got to get an early rounds in the bag. Then have your breathers, and then take it from there in the latter rounds. But Badou Jack just leaves himself so much to do, and this is why he keeps getting draws.
Very good point. Very good point. Fourth draw, man, in his career. This guy, he cuts it. He plays it too close to the vest. Now, here's my question, and I'm going to go in order, but I'm going to start with Stu here. Who did you think won the fight? Who did you give the fight to?
I had Badou Jack by 2 rounds, but I'm not too fussed. I'm not going to sit here and cry robbery. But a lot of people think Stevenson won it, but you only have to look at the reaction of both fighters. We can all sit here and say who we think won, but the guys in the ring, just look at the reaction when the bell rang. Who looked the winner and who looked the loser? Stevenson walked back to his corner like his belts had gone and his career was over. He was shocked that he got that draw, and that's why he didn't know what to say in the interviews, because he wasn't expecting it. So I think we can sit here and all argue who won. Just look at the fighters will tell you who won. Look at Stevenson. Go back and look at Stevenson when the bell rang. I was a deflated man that knew he'd lost his title. So it says it all. That's a good point. And also the fact that he didn't know what to say. It was partly because he's tired and also because he's English. Let's face it, it's not the best. He's not the best English speaker in the world. But you're right. I mean, can't. Nothing to do with his English, bro. He was on about that body punch. He was saving face, basically. I agree. I got beat up, but what about the body punch I hit him with? Do you know what I mean? That's the way I was looking at it. All right. So first of all, before we continue, I see we have Recognize the Matrix and the Boxing Junkie are on. Oh, and Boxing Style as well. Boxing Style, Recognize, and Boxing Junkie. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Always appreciate your input. And
I appreciate it, man. How's everybody doing?
Fantastic. Boxing Style, I heard you said you have to go. You have to go soon, right? You said.
Yeah, I gotta go soon. I just want to give my take on both fights quick, and then I'm gonna bounce off.
Okay.
First off, what's up, guys?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
What up, man?
What's up, man? The fight, I'm just gonna go ahead and say with Badou and Stevenson, I think that was rightfully so with the draw. But I do see, the referee was fucking around. Badou should have technically won that fight, because if the ref wasn't around, if it was a legit ref, Badou would have taken over and probably finished him.
There you go.
Agreed.
Yeah, and Stevenson, I think he blew his load in the very first 6 rounds. If he hadn't, like, the way he was throwing his jab was ridiculous. He tired his ass out very quickly. I mean, yeah, he's 40, but if he fought a little more conservative, he would have gone 12 rounds. Possibly would have been the other way around, Stevenson knocking Badu out.
Try to tell you, bro. No jab.
He has a jab, but it's like he kept him away for like 5 rounds. And after that, it was like he tired his ass out and he couldn't do shit afterwards.
He probes, but he doesn't land his jab well.
Yeah, pretty much.
I agree. It's not the snappiest jab out there. I mean, like Precise said, he probes, he distracts you with it, but and then as he gets tired, it gets worse. So, but now,
and Joey Diaz versus Russell. I thought Joey Diaz could have done better. I think he was inexperienced. It's more like it for the later rounds. He wasn't ready for that type of fight. But he could have, I think it's a rematch, he might win. A rematch, he has a good shot at winning. But that probably will never happen.
Well, when it comes to...
He rocked him 3-4 times in that fight. I don't know, maybe 3 times. I'm exaggerating 4. 3 times for sure he rocked him. He could have finished it. I think it's just the inexperience from Joey Diaz's part.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Russell Jr. He shoe-shined when he had to, got out of the way, and he's starting to punch harder than people gave him credit for, and he kept Joseph Diaz.
So what round was the stoppage, bro? What round was the stoppage? Because that's a fight I haven't seen yet. I need to catch up.
There was no stoppage. It was 12 rounds.
It
was better fight
decision, was it? I know Russell won.
Yeah, it was a better fight than what you guys saw with Badu and Stevenson, that's for sure.
Well, it was a cleaner fight, but there wasn't the drama that there was. You know, that's why I like the Stevenson Jack fight, and we're gonna get to whether you guys liked it. But the reason I liked it is because of the ebb and flow. You know, one guy's hurt, then the other guy comes back, then the other guy comes back again. That's what I liked. You know, ebb and flows, peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
All right, so I asked Boxing Style who he thinks he won. He gave his stakes too. Let's go with Precise. Precise, what do you think? Who do you think won the fight? And what did you think of the fight?
Nobody won this shit fight, man. Give me a break. Badu Jack gave up too many of the early rounds, which Stevenson just nicked. I thought maybe 4 or 5 of them. And Badu Jack had a better second half of the fight where he clearly won his rounds, even though Stevenson won 1 round very clearly. So I'd have to say Badu Jack was the better man, but because of how fights are being scored, I had it a draw, basically. Some couple of swing rounds there, you know, if I'm being fair and then splitting them, you know, evenly, it was a draw for me. I mean, the skill sets just didn't mesh well. And I know a lot of people mistake skill for style and they'll call it a style, but it wasn't that. It was the fact that Stevenson's best suit is sitting back looking to counterpunch or moving back, walking you into his shots, whether he's leading or countering, whereas Badu Jack's style, his best suit is coming forward and kicking ass. So Stevenson's punching power and his ability to counter a guy that's incoming and trying to fight him, and also having the puncher advantage over the fighter in this case, shut Badu Jack's best suit down for the majority of the fight and had him turning into a boxer, which he's very average at. Whereas it forced Stevenson to come forward, which he completely sucks at because he doesn't know how to cut the ring off. He doesn't set up his punches. He's like Guillermo Rigondeaux, right? So both guys, for the majority of the fight, were fighting in their weakest suit, which made the fight boring to me. And obviously I don't want to get into the whole referee thing, but that added to the disappointment on my part here.
He was 100% right about Adonis's jab. Non-existent.
None. Can't set up his shots very well. He could kind of measure the distance and catch you, walk you into his shot. But when you make him come forward, use his jab while coming forward, he can't set up shots very well at all. And he reminds me of Rigondeaux a lot in that sense. And when he actually does throw that left hand, it's never really straight because of how broad-shouldered he is. So you saw Badu Jack stepping inside of that left and avoiding it completely. So it just, their skill sets didn't mesh.
Well, you know what?
It's not so much of a jab. It's more of a reach advantage. That's all it is.
But
he controls distance well on the back foot, but coming forward, he's not that good. And then Badou Jack wouldn't give it to him. He kept circling away from the left, and he kind of, and I don't want to say sucks as a boxer, but you saw moments where if Badou Jack was, let's say, Jorge Linares, and he could circle and jab at the same time, right? He would have completely schooled Stevenson, just moving away from the left and jabbing him. He would have schooled him, but he doesn't have that skill set.
Every time Jack took it to Stevenson, he looked like he was going to stop him, but he just kept stopping. You just kept having breathers and get back on the back foot and having a look and all that. Just get the man out of there. You can't. You're in the man's backyard. It's obvious the judges are not going to go in your favour, so you're going to have to knock the guy out. Many times, Badou Jack could have got the stoppage. He threw that fight away. He's got himself to blame. That's it.
You got to give credit to Stevenson for rallying late in that fight and hurting him. And I know some of these body shots were low blows, really, to be honest, but it kept Badou Jack honest for large portions of that fight. So he turned them on. It looked like he was going to get TKO'd, but then he hurt him to the body and had Badou running away. And I think that saved him.
Yeah, I think Badou Jack gets too.
My bad, BD. I think
what?
Badou had a lot more nut shots than Stevenson.
Well, you know what? Listen, it was a close. First of all, with precise regarding the styles matchup, it was both guys were trying. Adonis Stevenson showed that he can fight better than expected, because some people weren't convinced, but he can fight a bit on the inside. Badou Jack, like Stu said, he was just, he waits too much to put the pedal to the metal. Now, I thought it was entertaining, but then again, it depends. Some people find certain fights entertaining, and other people want other things in their fights. I mean, that's just the nature of the boxing fan. We find different things fun. I want to ask Cameron, who do you think won the fight? How did you score it, if indeed you...
Come back to me, bro. I'm just eating my dinner.
All right. Recognize. Are you there? And if
yes, I am.
All right. Let's get your take. Who did you think won the fight? Who was the better man? Who did you have winning?
Okay, so I had Badou Jack winning the fight, but I definitely understand the draw. When scoring it, I had it 7-5, and like Precise said, there was a lot of. If I'm going to be honest, there was a lot of swing rounds where maybe it scores things up as a draw, or even makes it a win for Stevenson. So I definitely could understand the draw. I thought Badou Jack, like a lot of you guys explained, gave up a lot of the early rounds. It kind of reminded me of Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard. Not that good, but in terms of the ebbs and flows of the fight, where one guy's giving up the earlier rounds, and then the later rounds, the other guy comes back and he makes a push for it. Badou Jack's this is like the story of his boxing career. When he wins rounds, he beats you up. He really wins those rounds, where the other guy barely wins the rounds. Because Badou Jack is not really being active, right? Yeah. I liked Adonis Stevenson's the way he held the center of the ring in the earlier part of that fight. I thought that was key for him, with those fucking long arms where he could just touch you. He could just touch you with it. And I was giving him those rounds because there wasn't that much activity, but he was controlling the pace of the fight. The second half, I thought Badou Jack was winning huge. I probably gave Stevenson one round that was in the second half of the fight. I think that was the 11th round when he had Badou Jack running all over the ring. But, I should have been smart enough in taking a draw. If I was a betting man, I probably should have taken a draw for this fight, because it seems like when Badou Jack has big fights, they always end up in a fucking draw. And a lot of it is his fault. At least in this fight. Right, the Gale fight, not so much. I'm not going to say that, but at least in this fight, he has a lot to be. He can only look at himself for the draw.
100% agree, bro. Just said it myself. I'd basically say what you said. 100% agree. I mean, he's got himself to blame. Yeah. The guy was there for the taking. Them belts were there for him. The judges can't take it away from you when the guy's sleeping on the canvas.
Exactly, but I mean, he's not that type of puncher.
That is true.
He's not that type of, Badou Jack's the type of guy that can wear you down, but he's not gonna take you out with one punch. And he had to be weary of Stevenson, because again, Stevenson he showed his power in this one. Whether he hits you in the head or the body, I don't know how he's able to get those bodies through the guard to the body. Those body shots, man.
That's heavy-handed. You know what it is, BDA? He's fucking heavy-handed.
Oh, he is.
When he would touch Badu Jack, and it wasn't. Don't get me wrong. It's not hurting Jack. What it's doing is, he's like, it's pushing him. The momentum of the punch is pushing him away. Mm-hmm. Now, yeah, the 11th round, I thought he definitely hurt Badu Jack, especially to the body. But he's just so heavy-handed that it just gets through your guard, man. It's like I have a feeling he punches like a heavyweight. That's just my opinion. You know, I never got hit by him, but I just have a feeling he does.
Well, let me tell you something.
He wasn't landing clean all night, really. It was the body shots doing the work.
Yeah,
you know.
Just something real quick. I know a guy who fought him twice in the amateurs. And he said that you can do everything right against him. You can either take it to him or box him from the outside and do everything perfectly. All he needs is one shot and he takes you out. And he took this guy out, I think, both fights. So that's the type of power he has.
But we heard the same was going to happen to Badu Jack. I told you, don't get too excited about his power, because he has got power. If he hits you clean, you're going to sleep. There's no doubt about that. But look how slow he was. He never, you know, he kept circling, he kept following Badu Jack around the rings. You know, he never looked in the right position to land his big left hand. He was always off balance. It was just.
He's very inaccurate with that punch. Always has been.
That's what I've been trying to say. That's exactly what I've been trying to say. He's got to land.
Badu was a little hesitant.
Well, he's 40 years old. And by the way, Cameron,
Badu was a little hesitant in that fight. He was a little hesitant.
Just one last question for Recognize before we get to Cameron. You had Stevenson by 6-round stoppage. He almost got him out in the 6th round with those body shots. Were you jumping up and down, or?
That was a low blow.
Yeah, there was some that were low blows, but I thought he was going to go out. If you look at my prediction video, I realized this. In my prediction video, at first I was picking. This is how 50-50 I saw the fight. I said in the beginning of the video, more than likely, if Stevenson wins, he's going to win by knockout. But at the end of the video, I said, I think he'll win by decision, Stevenson. Mm-hmm. Because this fight was so goddamn hard to predict. I thought that if Badu Jack in the later rounds, if he wasn't so fucking hesitant, and then again, it's hard to say when you're not in the ring facing those punches. I thought if he could have put just a little bit of more pressure, catching him with those overhand rights that were sneaking in, uppercuts, and then to the body, man, I think he would have at least dropped him. I think he would have dropped him. And then that referee was like, I don't know what that referee was doing, but you know.
I must admit, I think Stevenson is fish food in that 175 division, mate. Fish food.
I was going to say that.
I was going to say that too.
Well, he's getting old.
Honestly, I got people laughed at me when I said Bellew would knock Stevenson clean out of cruiserweight. I'm telling Stevenson now, do not take that fight because Bellew will do you a right number on you. I'm telling you.
Well, Cameron, who did you have winning the fight, Cameron?
I was just going to say, Stu basically took the words out of my mouth for a quarter, and I thought, Stevenson last night, I thought he was there for the taking before last night, but if he wasn't before that fight, he is now. After that fight, the guy's 40 years old. Fight like that, it's only going to do worse on him. Yeah, I mean, I thought Stevenson for a while. I've always rated Stevenson as a fighter. I just didn't rate what he was doing as a champion. But I feel like you've got Gavodstik down there as mandatory challenger now. Obviously Jack rematch. I feel like if the rematch happens, Jack wins the rematch quite convincingly. I feel like that fight last night would have took a lot out of Stevenson, a lot more than it did with Badu Jack. So for me, if they fought again in a rematch, I feel like any sort of a legitimate fighter, the next one that gets a hold of Stevenson will beat him. I think so.
All right, so let's keep going with and we'll get to the landscape at light heavyweight. But let's get to boxing. Pavel first. Pavel, who did you have winning the fight?
I had a draw. Really, I didn't care about who would win the fight. I wasn't rooting for either of them. One thing that I'm really angry about me getting up at 5 a.m. and watching this dog shit of a fight. But the two things that were best about this show was the referee getting punched in the face and Jack receiving his fourth draw. That was the best thing.
Oh man, you didn't like anybody that was in the ring last night, did you? You don't like the referee, you don't like Stevenson, you don't like Badu Jack.
That's correct.
By the way, Koran Bread is calling him Baidu Jack. He says his new nickname is Jackass. So you see the creativity we got going in the chat room. All right. But
can I just say one more thing? I think
Absolutely.
people overrate Badu Jack's skills. His distance control is really subpar. In most of his fights, at least that I've watched, he was in the ring general. He rather sparingly sets up his own rhythm that his opponent has to adjust to. And what I noticed in this fight is that he was bending his wrist at the end of the punch, especially in the straight shots. So perhaps that's one of the reasons that that considerably hurt Stevenson. Like throughout the fight, he had some moments, but still. And I remember that 3 months ago or 4 months ago, Badu Jack called out Sergey Kovalev, and if that happened instead of Stevenson, that based on what I've seen yesterday, that would have been a big mistake for Jack.
all right, we're gonna get to that later on. I wanna save that one because I wanna talk about, because we've been here at BDA Boxing. You know, everybody here, we've been through this fucking Adonis Stevenson saga for 4 years since he won the title, and here on the show we've been at it for 8 months, and he finally stepped up against a guy that was better than Fonfara, his best opponent at the time. So we're gonna talk about whether Kovalev and Stevenson, how that would have looked in the like 4 years ago. But before we do, Boxing Junkie, finally, what about you? How did you have the fight?
All right, I'm going to agree with the last man on. This was a shit show. All right, fucking yeah, the punch from the ref might be one of the best ones the whole night, as far as I'm concerned. And this Badu Jack, I was a fan of Jack, but I'm done with that. There was a point where, you know, you got to go all out. I was like, Jack, you're just going to let it go? He had Stevenson hurt a couple times. He could have followed up on it. One of them rounds, in the later rounds, Badu Jack really took it to him, man, for a minute. And, you know, but props to Stevenson for, in the last round, trying to knock him out, you know? He was trying.
Well, listen, Boxing Junkie, to be fair to Jack, he couldn't really get going because every time he tried, Stevenson was fucking clinching him.
Yes, I was going to get into that. That goddamn ref was just letting... Didn't he warn Badu Jack for holding when Stevenson was holding the fucking whole time?
Exactly.
And then Badu Jack does it once and got warned by the referee? Man,
yeah, that was disgusting.
All against him. I remember people were saying that he would be safe in Canada. Man, Badu Jack was not safe in Canada.
No, he wasn't, man. That's why they should do it in neutral ground. You know, if they
to be fair, Badu Jack was getting his own in. I see Badu Jack hit Stevenson in the bollocks quite a few times.
Let them fight, hit each other on the balls as long as there's no clinching.
Right, yeah.
I think he was equally as bad to both opponents, if you get what I'm saying. I don't think there's no favoritism. I just think he's just that bad. But for me, I don't think he ruined the fight. I just don't think he did. I've seen a lot worse.
The problem in Jack's defense, Adonis started low blowing him. I think it was like in the 4th or 5th round because his guard was so tight. Adonis started straying low and the referee did nothing. So what do we always say? Well, if the referee does nothing, hit him low. So Jack did not initiate the low blowing in his defense, which isn't to say I thought he landed more low blows, but would you rather take 5 from Jack or 1 from Stevenson? You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah. And speaking of Jack, here's one last thing I didn't like is when he started the momentum started going his way, he took over the fight after the 9th round when he was starting to open up on Stevenson, and Stevenson was looking very, very tired. At the end of the round, Jack stood there in the middle of the ring and stared him down. And I'm thinking, stupid motherfucker, the fight's not over yet. Stop playing tough. It's not that you can do that in the 11th round, but you don't do that against a guy that can hit as hard as Stevenson. And then what happened in the 10th round, the very next round, fucking Stevenson hurts him. So I don't like this guy trying to play mind games inside the ring, trying to stir the other guy down. Just do your thing. You get the momentum on your side. There's no need to start playing tough guy in there. So it was kind of I was kind of a little relieved to see Adonis Stevenson come back because it also made it more entertaining. All right, now guys, that's the other thing. Stevenson, a lot of people consider him the lineal champion. He finally stepped up against a guy, a very solid opponent, the best opponent I think he's fought in the last 5 years, and he almost got taken out. So the basic question is, even if forget about 5 years ago, what happens if Kovalev and Stevenson fight right now? Who wants to jump in on that one real quick? Whoever answers first.
Kovalev beats him. Kovalev beats him.
Kovalev beats him. Yes.
Hands down.
Somebody gets knocked out. That's for damn sure.
I'll tell you what, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, right now, I wouldn't want to be putting my money on Kovalev. I just don't. Kovalev's not the same guy we all knew. He's a broken man.
I wouldn't want to put my money on Stevenson.
I don't think I agree with what Bastoy says. I won't pick a winner in that fight now at this point. I think somebody's going to sleep in that fight, but I see Stevenson, he's ready to go, and like Stu said, Kovalev, since those war fights, man, I think he's been matched the way he has been for a reason. So yeah, I don't know, man. This fight should have happened 3 years ago. So I don't know who would win that fight now, man.
Right. Kovalev gets hit, and Jack or Adonis only needs one shot, and he does get hit. So
he does get hit, but I see definitely if the jab playing a role.
Sorry, bro.
The jab will play a role. I think if Kovalev establishes his jab, it's over for Stevenson.
If he fights smartly and moves away from the left like Jack did, he'll win. But he's such a hothead sometimes. You know what I mean?
I think the main thing that I think hold on, Stu. I'm just gonna say that the main thing that would play in Kovalev's favor would be Stevenson's stamina. I mean, the main thing that you mustn't do against Kovalev when you're fighting him is gassing out after the 6th round. After that, if you do this, then you're fucked.
Yeah, but I think Kovalev gasses as well. And one factor in this fight, because I don't like Adonis Stevenson. I think when they both wanted to fight each other a few years ago, I think when Kovalev was in his prime, I think he would have slept Stevenson. I've been saying it for a long time. Is everyone cut off?
No, everybody's still here. Oh shit! They just dropped off. How did you know everybody
body
dropped
shots?
off?
Yeah, everyone cut off, man. I was just besides, you've just pinched it off me, man. You've just pinched my fucking line, bro. The body shots at Kovalev. If Stevenson starts landing them body shots on Kovalev, the stamina's going to drain from him. I think he's become an old man overnight. If you get what I'm saying, Kovalev right now, just not the same.
Let me just say, the division's looking at out of all the champions right now, it's starting to look a real good for Bivol, isn't it?
And like I said, with Stevenson and Kovalev, they're both at the worst I've seen them. So it's a 50-50 fight, if you know what I mean. But like I said, Kovalev lands on Stevenson, it's over because Kovalev hits a lot harder than Badu Jack. But yeah, if Stevenson lands body shots, Kovalev doesn't like body shots. He doesn't. I don't think he trains to take shots to the body. And Stevenson throws an awesome body shot. So especially that straight left to the body, right in the solar plexus. That takes a lot out of you, that does.
If Kovalev is landing like Badu, it's over. It's over for Stevenson.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a good fight, though. That's why it's a good fight at this stage. It was a good fight before, it's a good fight now because you can see cases for either one winning the fight.
People, you said it right. That's what I was thinking about after the fight. I'm thinking, man, whether they would have fought 5 years ago or whatever, those body shots. But the flip side to that coin is you just saw Stevenson fight the best fighter he's ever fought so far, and those straight rights were starting to find a home there. Kovalev is just as precise, if not more precise, than Badu Jack, and he hits way harder. So could Stevenson have handled the way he got hit from Badu Jack? Could he have handled taking those shots from Kovalev?
No. I just want to address the chat because a lot of them disagree with me, and that's fine. That's what this program is about. Well, this hangout's about. I don't mind that. But the fact is, they're saying Kovalev's looking better than ever. I don't see that. I've looked at his last couple of fights. I just don't see he looks better than ever. I think he looks worse.
That's because of the matchmaking. He's fought Shabransky and Mikkelkin, who aren't top 15 guys in the lightweight division. Like, he's been carefully matched since those Ward losses against guys who he's going to look good against. So, of course, he's going to look, I wouldn't say look better than ever, but of course he's going to look clinical in them fights. But I think we're going to see where Kovalev's at more when he fights Eleider Alvarez, who's a legit contender.
I'll save my judgment to Kovalev to after that fight then, because if he proves me wrong and wins that fight in devastating fashion, then I'm going to have to be back on the train. But I was a big Kovalev fan, still am. I just think he's lost his love for boxing, I think.
Well, they are bringing him back properly.
Yeah,
the way
of
you
course.
should bring back a fighter that's been through a loss like that was real big on him mentally. You need to come back with some, put him in there with some cans, make him look good, get his confidence back.
So, Pavel,
with Alvarez.
I agree with that. That's a very good point. They already eased him in back into 175, and Alvarez is a good fight. The good thing for Kovalev is that Alvarez tends to fade down the stretch in tough fights. But so, Pavel, you disagree with Stu then about Kovalev. You don't think Kovalev is as finished as most people seem to think?
No, I just slightly disagree. I think Stu's argument that Kovalev looked bad, it was a bit of a stretch. I mean, I know that's not the best opposition he could face, but still, he didn't look horribly. He looked okay for me.
Okay, hold on a sec. Who's going? Yeah, by the way, guys, don't if you want to get on the Hangout, don't call us. You have to send an instant message. So just open up the chat on Google Hangouts and send us. By the way, if you guys drop out again, just wait. Like Recognize and Junkie, just wait for me to call you back. Don't call me because it doesn't work that way. Anyway, with the Kovalev thing, all right. With the Kovalev thing, I agree with Precise, and with Stu, I was thinking the very same thing, the body shots. Those goddamn body shots. Can Kovalev take him to the body, or is that just a myth now that's been passed down after the Ward fights?
That's been proven.
Nobody
really,
can take Stevenson's left hand to the body. Let's keep it real. Nobody can.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about how you get hit to the body. Of course, if he hits you flush, penetration, you're flexing while you're throwing punches, he'll drop you. But you got to land those punches. It's a good fight if they were to ever fight. My money's on Kovalev. It's always.
I'm not picking Stevenson. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
both guys. Yeah, both. I know what people are saying. Either guy can win the fight. Absolutely. Stevenson, all he has to do is just land you can see he's still, even when he's not landing flush, right? He's pushing the man away. The man is flaring away. Yeah. So all he's got to do is land one where it just all connects. It's over. But in terms of boxing styles, I'm going with Kovalev to beat him.
Yeah, I'm picking Kovalev, but it's a very close fight right now until I see where Kovalev is. Like I said, if he's not living the life, then the body shots are the worst punches that you can take. You ain't living the life in a boxing ring. So, we'll see if he's back to his best, and then we'll see against Alvarez, because if he's not, he'll get found out again. But I like Kovalev. I just think with the drinking and I think with the Andre Ward situation, I just think he looks a bit of a broken man. But you never know.
I don't agree or disagree. I don't really have an opinion on that, Stu. I look at the same Kovalev as the same fighter he was before the Andre Ward fight until I'm proved wrong. You know what I'm saying? You could be right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but whether it was before the Ward fight or after the Ward fight, the guy's always gotten hit. That's my only thing. And he's been knocked down before. He's been hurt before. You don't want to be all gung ho against somebody like Stevenson. Now, on the other hand, he obviously has the boxing skill, and if he uses his boxing brain, he can make the fight very easy. I just don't know whether he will or not. And one last thing about the way they've brought him back. Obviously, they've been doing it the right way, but I think someone like Mikhalkin suffers from the same curse that Jeff Horn and Jaime Munguia suffered from recently. People just don't know them, so they assume that they suck. The one thing that was safe about Mikhalkin was his lack of punching power, but you can't accuse the guy of not having boxing skill. He's very tricky, very awkward, very good boxer. Just because people don't know, and that doesn't mean he's not any good. It's just the fact that he didn't have any punching power that made him a safe bet. You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting because...
I didn't
go ahead.
I didn't know about him at all, so I shouldn't have spoke on it really like that.
Yeah, by the way, Boxing Junkie, can you talk closer to your mic, please? Because it sounds like you're far away, or it doesn't sound loud enough. By the way, I just wanted to say one thing about because Kachnello in the chat said, well, nobody likes getting hit to the body. But that's not really the point, because some guys, when, Kovalev has been hurt. I saw him weaken a little bit from Ward's body attack in the first fight, and against Jean-Pascal as well in the first fight. Jean-Pascal was countering him to the body, and you could see, like, I know nobody likes it to the body, but when you see a professional boxer visibly getting bothered by those type of body shots, it means either he's not guarding himself properly for the body shots, or he just doesn't have a tough stomach for that. I don't know. By the way,
like you said, BDA, that's right. He could not be preparing himself well to the body, or, most guys just don't like to get hit there, period,
Gary Russell takes one hell of a body shot, man. I'll say that much.
Yeah, ask Lomachenko, man.
Kovalev lost the first fight.
Well, hold on. Before we continue, I just want to announce that we got Jimmy in the hangout, and we got Time Trap Media. Trap Media in the hangout.
What's up, guys?
Good to have you on.
Media. What's going on?
What's going on?
What's up, man?
Someone's got a microwave going off or something in the background.
I think it was.
What's up?
Yeah, it was just for a second. All right, let's start with Jimmy. What did you think of the Stevenson-Jack fight, and what do you think about a potential Stevenson-Kovalev fight, if it ever happened down the line?
Well, I can't see, after last night, I definitely can't see him touching any of the, the Bivals, the Kovalevs, anybody who's got lightning in a hand. No way. He was getting rocked more than once because he's in terrible condition. Listen, did you see that herky-jerky motion he has in the first few rounds? I mean, he's just in that weird when he's terrible. Like, it's 3 or 4 feet away from his opponents. Like, why are you wasting all that body movement when you're that big? Like, you got to control. You stay small. You look through the top of your eyes. You get maybe your hands moving a little. He's got his whole body and he's awkward, jerky. And I'm like, I tweeted out in the second round, like, he's going to tire quick just from that motion alone. And so when you're sucking air, I can't stress this enough. When you're sucking air, you are so receptive to being KO'd. You are just so receptive. So drunks. You see a guy who's caught, boom, give him a light shot to the chops. He's fucking 9-8. So I'm telling you, he's not, he can't afford, because of his age, his style, he just, you know what I mean? He's not going to put in the fucking road work to take on those big punches. Badu Jack is not a fucking heavy puncher. I was disappointed with him crowding his own offense all night. And at the end of the fight, when he was just barreling his head into his chest, like, you're doing your best fucking damage at range, dude. What are you doing? You got this guy who's barely standing up, so you're giving him a play, something to hold on to? Fuck's wrong with you, dude? Step back and let your hands go. It was insane. What's that, brother?
I was just going to say, Stevenson is like, you're spot on. Stevenson's it's a style thing with him, and his style is built on youth and athleticism, a bit like David Hay. And when your legs go, you finish, bro. And I think Stevenson, his legs have gone. So
Stevenson's a fucking Stevenson to me is a one-trick pony. He's got that left hand. You know what I mean? I just didn't see anything last night what would make Bivol, Kovalev nervous. Especially Kovalev does damage at distance. He did last night. He did well with covering the shots. He did what we expected. Put his hands up, take him off the arm, get the guy moving around. And once you survive, you get past the 5th and 6th. You can, but he didn't do enough in the beginning. And at the end, seriously, Stevenson was holding on for dear life. You were giving him an opportunity to hold on to you instead of stepping back at range and just lighting that fucking fool up. It would have been over. You know what I mean?
Well, let's get.
What's that?
Yeah. Sorry, just go ahead.
No, you fire away. No, you go ahead. I'm done, brother.
All right. Well, thank you for your input. Very interesting to get. Well, I want to keep talking about that, but first I want to ask Trap, who just came in as well. Trap, what do you think? Stevenson versus Kovalev, if it took place right now, who would you pick on that one?
I got Kovalev whooping him easy. That's an easy fight. Stevenson looked done to me. I don't want to see him fight no more. I was very disappointed in how he finished the fight, just grabbing the whole fight. I don't want to see a rematch in that. I think Kovalev is a lot more underrated than people. They don't give him enough credit, because I felt that first fight he whooped Ward, and the second fight he was whooping Ward until the body started getting to him, and I felt that fight would stop early. Now, I think Bivol is the best in the division, but if Kovalev fights Stevenson, that's an easy win for Kovalev, because he's just gonna box him, make him punch himself out early in the fight, and later in the fight, Kovalev's gonna finish him, because he don't have that timid Badu Jack mentality. If Kovalev sees you're in trouble, he's gonna jump on you.
Can he take the body shots though?
That's true. That is true.
I don't think
I'd love to hear Trap and Lopez go at it, man. That would be hilarious.
So people are saying they sound the same, but no, they're not the same. I don't think they're the
But
same.
they think completely differently.
Yeah.
I like Kovalev. You guys don't like Kovalev?
Because that's like picking between two girlfriends, isn't it? You're seeing two
And
girlfriends. Which one's your
Kovalev's excellent at blocking punches to the body. All right.
I don't know about that, man.
I could see him knocking Stevenson out in the late rounds. I'm telling y'all.
I just took a cruise around Twitter, to catch up on shit before I get on, and I see that Low Place tweeted out that he has Stevenson, and Badu Jack #1 and 2 fighters on the planet. End of story.
What the
Lomachenko. I mean, like, how does he? Does he sit? I
He's
just want to
entitled
know.
to his opinion. He's entitled.
I know, man, but
I
that's
totally disagree, but he's entitled.
But when you tweet something out, when you make a statement, like you want to be taken, obviously, I don't care what he says. Everybody wants to have a little bit of credibility. But when you state something that you can't find 3 motherfuckers on the planet to agree with you, you know what I'm saying?
A young Stevenson.
Hey, let's be real. Let's be real.
Hold on. Trap wanted to say something.
He can't find 2 people on the.
Is on delay.
Never mind 3.
Badu Jack and Stevenson.
And Jack think they're the best, right?
He also said that the low blows that Stevenson received would have stopped Kovalev.
Well, we saw that against Ward.
Agree. Yes.
Yeah, we saw that against Ward. But Trap was
Tony Weeks would have stopped Kovalev. Come on.
Yeah. Tony, they would have stopped the fight right there.
Y'all hate Kovalev, huh?
No, we don't hate that guy.
No. I like his style. I don't think he's unbeatable, but I like him.
I stopped watching boxing when Andre Ward did that to Kovalev. I was that disgraced by it.
Who else do you think beat Kovalev though in the division? Who you think the best in the division?
I'm not saying Kovalev could be the best in the division. I'm just saying I'm seeing a decline in this guy, and I think mentally he's not right at the moment.
Kovalev deserves the credit, but I think Bivol might take him at this point. But I wouldn't bet my life on it. But I think Kovalev deserves the credit. He's the man in the division, no doubt about that.
Man, I wish Better Biev was fucking active, man, because he's just a forgotten champion in this whole situation.
That might be the best fighter right there, but we don't know. We just don't know.
Sorry, Free Piss. I want to say he's just finished his 3-day legal. He's trying to get out of his promotional contract with Yvonne Michelle. That 3-day court trial's just ended, so just waiting a decision on that.
Interesting.
I was going to say too. I echo 100% what Precise just said. I give it to Kovalev for them circumstances, but right now I'd have to say my own opinion for whatever it's worth. I'd go with Bivol right now. If they would have a tournament and it would all fight to the end at light heavy, I think he's got it all. And I think Beterbiev that would be the best thing for him. He needs activity, and he is a nasty puncher. But now, what was I going to say?
I agree with 3-piece. Bivol was definitely the best in the world in that division. I think he's the best prospect, and that's Loma included in that conversation. But Bivol is much better than me. I think he just he has power, the combinations, the footwork.
Yeah, Beterbiev is apparently going to be fighting Callum Johnson, but that fight's nearly signed and sealed. Callum Johnson's a Brit that just beat Frank Buglioni. Callum Johnson wants a fight. I mean, if he wants that fight, then fair play to him, because that's a real tough fight for him.
Bivol got a chin too. I thought so anyway.
The thing is, man, Beterbiev. So the thing is with Beterbiev, Stu, like he's so needs to mute, man.
Yeah, please remember, guys, if you're gonna be silent for long stretches of time, mute your mic, please, because we want as less background noise as possible. So, yeah, so go ahead, Cameron.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I agree with Stu. The thing is with the Cam Johnson fight, Beterbiev's so inactive. You saw when he fought Enrico Colin, he looked pretty lackluster in that fight. I thought he was going to blow him out. A lot of people thought Beterbiev was going to blow him out of there, but he was so inactive, and he looked pretty poor in that fight. I know Colin was just trying to survive, but Beterbiev wasn't everybody's dropped off, but Beterbiev wasn't doing what I thought he would do. So for me, Cam Johnson probably could be a better fighter than Colin. So for me, you never know. With somebody like Beterbiev being so inactive, I think he's only fought once in the last year and a half. Maybe this is the right time. Beterbiev's prime years are being wasted right now. with this legal battle he's got with Jon Michel. So it's desperate times, really.
Mm-hmm. Some people think Petreviev isn't as good as he is because he, like you said, in his last fight, he took a little bit of time for him to take out his last opponent, but he's freaking strong, man. And I don't know if Kovalev can handle that. Stylistically, it seems we've talked about it before, but what do you guys think? Do you think Bivol is being a little bit over? Because I was very impressed with the Barrera fight. I thought he was being overrated prior to that, but then I became a believer once he took it.
I personally don't think he's overrated at all. His footwork is unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's my opinion. I think his footwork is just insane. The way he darted in and out. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Sorry, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off. Carry on.
No, Cameron, you fire away, bro.
I was just going to say, I agree with what you were saying. I think also, I will add to that, is, I think the Barrera win really solidified him as a legitimate champion for me. I thought before that, he beat that Trent Broadhurst, not really a good win for a title, but he beat Sullivan Barrera. I think after that win, I can't say he's overhyped, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with 3 pieces. I don't think Bivol's getting enough attention.
But what we got to take into account, what we have to take into, hang on a minute, bro. What you got to take into account is he's not fought a big puncher at the 175 division yet. There's some monsters in that division, big punchers.
Barrera's a big puncher, man.
We need to see what he's like when he's getting hit back. He's not, bro. He's not. He didn't even hit Ward once. Not once.
Because he couldn't land on him. Besides the jab, he couldn't really land on Ward. But Barrera knocks people the fuck out, man.
Slow, bro. He
hit Bivol with...
He knocks both down.
He landed the right hand on Bivol a couple of times. And
he knocked Joe Smith out. I know Joe Smith's nothing special, but, guy he had some momentum, man. He knocked him out. Broke his jaw.
And I can tell you through the grapevine and amongst trainers and stuff, and amongst people in the gyms and shit, and people who've sparred and talk about him say he does hit hard. So Precise, so Cameron said they didn't get a glove on Ward. He never ended up clipping him, but he does hit hard if he does connect. But he's a little muscle bound. I think he kind of crabby where he throws his punches.
I mean, he broke Joe Smith's jaw, man. I mean, he knocked Joe Smith out. He broke his jaw, man.
A bit robotic.
He bruised up Ward's face too. I mean, the little punches.
He's a cruiserweight. The guy's a cruiserweight, draining down to 175. He hits hard, man. He's slow, whatever, but he hits hard.
And he's a legit 6'2", not those box rec 6'2". He is 6'2". You could just tell.
Yeah, but does he hit harder than? Does he hit harder than Stevenson, Kovalev?
No.
Petreviev?
No, he don't hit harder.
Does he? Does Barrera hit harder than?
No.
This is my point. I think Bivol's he looks the best guy in the division at the moment. But like I said, we need to see him fight one of the top guys, and we can take it from there.
He looks like he got the best skills. I don't know if he's the best light heavyweight. I would say this: he looks like he's the best skilled fighter at light heavyweight.
Let me ask you guys this, right? I mean, according to most writers, they got Ward going into the Hall of Fame. Excuse me. Who beat Barrera more soundly? Who? I thought Bivol. Well, I don't know if I'm butchering that kid's name.
Yeah,
I think Bivol. I think he actually was schooled Barrera compared to Ward. You know what I mean? They both fought the same guy. So exactly. Exactly. I think he made a lot worse than Ward did. So just keep that in mind. That's why when Ward saw that, Ward was like, "Yeah, I'm going to retire until I come back and fight Bellew."
I don't think that's why Ward retired, but I'm not into the Ward hype. I don't really see what people see when they say, "Oh, he's pound for pound the best," and all that. I don't see that. I think Kovalev beat him the first fight. I thought the second fight, Kovalev was whooping him even more. Ward just came on and showed the heart of a champion with the body shots in that last round. But I felt that fight was stopped too early, too. I think they need to run it back before we can even say that, Ward is truly the best, or Ward was the best in the division and the pound-for-pound king. I think a lot of that's overhyped.
Y'all hate it, man. All you guys are hating, man. I can't have that. Nah. Ward, son of God, that's the best fighter ever.
I respect
nobody.
Come on,
nobody can punch to the nuts the way he can. Nobody can elbow you. Nobody can headbutt you. the way
Right.
my man does it.
If you take away the elbow and the fucking
Hey.
headbutt,
Hey, if he's
Well, hold on. Stu. Boxing Junkie was saying something, but boxing, we can't hear you properly, man. It sounds like you're far away from the mic or something.
is this better?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I can't hear him. Yeah, I'm so good to hear him.
Okay, I'm having technical difficulties, people.
I can hear you alright. I tell you, I mean, I've got a headset and I can hear you alright, man.
Yeah, but I don't know if people in the who are listening, maybe they have to fucking max it out, the volume.
I hear him good. I hear him pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, so do I.
All right, so I hope people are in the chat then, or people who are listening then, the audience, I hope they can, because somebody complained as well that they couldn't hear him on the YouTube stream. But anyway, go ahead, Boxing Junkie.
If anyone can answer on the screen right now, if you can hear me, it'd help me out.
The thing is, man, like you're quieter than everybody else, but we can still hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I talk low, but all right. Fucking Ward, if you take away the elbow.
Oh no, everybody's dropped off again.
Really? I still see them I still see everybody.
No, people dropped off.
Oh yeah. How come you see them?
Me and Stu always never get kicked out. It's a bit weird.
I reckon I'm in a different.
I don't understand.
I reckon I'm in a different frequency to you guys because I always seem to be ahead of you in life.
It's American.
I'm seeing these people fucking go
bias.
out the chat before BD does, and this is hangout. What's going on?
So same here, bro. The funny thing is, me and you have never been kicked out ever.
I mean, yeah. Let's be real. Let's be real. Yeah, let's be real, right? If Andre Ward's a son of God, then no wonder so many people are turning to atheism. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good one. That's a
No.
good one.
I think Ward carries himself the right way. I like how he carries himself. I just don't see in the ring that he's as good as people say. I haven't seen that fight that made me say, wow, with him, with Lomachenko or Crawford. I think all three of them are overrated.
I used to have a respect for Wood until what he pulled with Goosen. You know what I mean? I don't like guys who renege on contracts. I mean, he went to court 3 times and to prove 3 times that he was in the wrong. And then on top of that, to get his fucking name some ink. I mean, he's out of the ring for 2 years because he's fighting with Joe Goosen, self-imposed hiatus from boxing, and he sees this fucking kid from Kazakhstan, big drama show, can barely speak a lick of English, seeing him get all the ink, seeing Americans falling for him. So what does he do? He started with that little G shit. That started it all. That was the floodgates were open. And he fought on the same – you should have showed some love. It's like he's an HBO fighter, dude.
Called him Little G.
Triple G.
You know what I mean? Called him Little G just to be a fucking –
Yeah.
He seems to be very passive-aggressive. Ward's demeanor for me.
Did somebody say Triple G ducked Ward?
Yeah, Triple G ducked Ward. He ain't want no smoke with Ward. We all know that. That's not even go there.
All right, now let me ask you. You're joking, right?
You joking, right?
Because I want to ask.
You
all right, no.
You can't duck somebody that's 2 divisions above you. That's
That's my point. Listen,
how did Floyd do it? How did
Floyd do what?
All right. Can I?
Floyd called him out. He said he would school him. He said he's nothing special. He said I beat his ass.
How did Floyd go for 130 all the way up to the 50s? If you can't fight somebody bigger than you,
I'm not. Listen.
Floyd never fought anybody bigger than him. Floyd fought De La Hoya. 3 people. 3 people were bigger than Floyd. 3 people were bigger than Floyd.
Canelo wasn't bigger than Floyd.
No, he was drained. He was drained.
Floyd grew into it.
Yeah, you need some glasses, bro.
Glasses?
Well, I mean, he rehydrated. Look. Canelo, hold on. Canelo rehydrated bigger than Floyd, but he drained him at the weight. And they the same height, and Floyd had reach advantage on him. So was he a little bit heavier? Yeah, it showed in the fight, man. He couldn't catch up to him.
All right, guys, can I just say something now? I just want to finish my I started. Then I got to get going anyway. So, Jesus fucking Christ!
Let Jimmy talk. Let Jimmy talk because he's gonna leave soon. He said.
Yeah, he's dropped off, man.
Oh well. So, anyways, go on.
I was just gonna say, man, come on, man. Look, Floyd Mayweather never really fought guys much bigger than him, No, that never happened, man. And even if he did,
Canelo
he ain't
was
do no
bigger.
damage. He ain't do no damage.
He
ain't
will
a damage
Canelo.
man.
He whooped Canelo.
Castillo.
He whooped Canelo back. He walked him down.
He handed he
Am I back?
beat a drained.
Yeah.
He beat a dude who was
I got
drained.
bound. I got bound.
Yeah. Let Jimmy talk. Let's let Jimmy talk a bit because he's gonna leave apparently, so he's not rushed.
No. I got to get going, and that just got dropped out again. So I figure I'm gonna keep getting dropped. So, but no, what I was gonna say,
we're all dropping.
All right, Gennady, was he always said from day one 160. He never, you know what I mean. But that was his thing. He was going for 160. So that aside, I'm talking about Andre Ward now. I'm talking about Andre Ward. Was no way was he going to be able to fight at 168. Now, listen, what about the state of facts? His last fight at 168 was 2013. He fought a very chinny Rodriguez. Went the distance. Looked like shit. And then his next fight was another almost 2 years later, okay? He was trying to get down to 168, realized he couldn't, and then had a catch weight. And it was during the training camp for the catch weight against Paul Smith at a catch weight of 172 pounds when he was probably around 180, feeling great, is when it was in June of that year, 2015, when he said, I'll fight Triple G at 168. Bang. Okay, so he said it. So then the fight happens. He fights Paul Smith, right, at a catch weight. But by then, now he's gone down to the catch weight. Again, he didn't look great. Within 3 months of that fucking fight, he's telling Ryan Burton, he's telling HBO, he's telling Dan Rayfield, when they said, so what's up? Is 168 an option? Laughing, saying, no way. 175 is getting hard to make. So my point is, I'm not doubting that he would have fought him. I'm not saying that Triple G didn't go up. All my point is that fight couldn't have happened because there wasn't a snow. And then on top of that, now, if he needed 2 warm-ups for Kovalev, so that means he would have not only had to fight Triple G at 160 pounds, 8 pounds, at a fucking weight, by his own admission, he couldn't reach any longer. He would have to, on top of doing it 3 times, because you're going to tell me after 2 years out of the ring, he's going to fight Triple G without any warm-ups. A guy who punches just as hard as Kovalev and is a better technical fighter.
Everything this man's saying is fact. All right, he's got an excellent timeline of what happened. The fight cannot be made. All right, Andre Ward was in different weight classes. He was in promotional issues. All this bullshit. He's a diva among fucking divas, man. He's the king diva.
That's all I'm saying. Listen, I don't blame people for trying. I don't blame people for trying to fucking get their name out there. But let's call it for what it was. Okay, he just wanted to attack his name.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Precise.
But which is not to say that Triple G was chasing Ward either. I'm not saying he wanted that fight either. I'm not saying that. But to say Triple G ducked Ward when the guy was 2 divisions above him, essentially, that's a stretch for me. And let's just agree that we're happy that fight didn't happen. Well, but Rigo was chasing his ass. He wanted the fight.
Okay, no, but y'all say he can't do it. You can't fight somebody 2 vision. If you got it, you got it. And I feel Triple G wins that fight, but I feel like he ducked him though.
He doesn't win that fight, bro. He doesn't win. They're gonna fuck him over. They're gonna fuck him over, bro. He doesn't win shit.
They're gonna let Andre Ward punch him to the balls. What do you think is gonna happen, my friend?
No,
Triple G
make
him quit. He's gonna quit.
Who would like to fight for a shitty payday with Ward?
You can use that logic.
I agree with the business part of it. That's what Abel said. Abel said it didn't happen because there wasn't no money on the floor, and I agree with that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the money wasn't great at that time, but I don't think it's ducking when you don't want to fight a guy who's.
But they did
2 levels.
They stated that they would fight up to that weight. They did state that at one point.
But my point is, they said they'd fight him at 168. But if Ward couldn't get to it, Ward would never be able to reach 168 again. No, how? How could he? He tried and failed. He fought it at 213, but he didn't get to it. He tried again 2 years later. No, listen to me, dude. He tried again, and 2 years later, and he couldn't get to it, and he had to have a catch weight. And then immediately after that catch weight, he said, I won't even do the catch weight again. I'm going to 175. And now he's going to heavyweight.
Repeat.
He wasn't going the other direction.
Ward couldn't make 168, man. He couldn't make.
And then he would have had to make it 3 times.
You said about Golovkin. I was just going to say, he said about Golovkin, if he wants to be great, he should go up to 175 and fight Ward.
I didn't say that. I didn't say 75. They could have fought at 68. When they were when GGG and Ward was on ESPN and they was talking about making the fight happen, it was at 68. Y'all remember when they was on ESPN talking about it?
He
right?
can't make 168. The fight can't happen. You can't expect.
He could.
Yeah, I do, but you can't expect Golovkin to go to 175. Ward can't make the weight.
But Ward would have had to make it for 3 times,
Well,
bro.
Floyd could have gone out and fought Golovkin then, but it didn't.
Because that means he wouldn't have had to make it just once. He would have had to make it at least a minimum of 3 times over the next 18 months. Not a chance in hell. He tried to. He was about to fight at 168 and nope. Cut together with Smith. Called for a catch weight of 172, and immediately after that fight said, never again. I'm going to 175. So in that time period, that means he would have had to stretch 68 3 more times. All right, let's say not 3 more. Let's say one, just a warm-up, which he definitely would have taken. He wouldn't have fought Triple G cold. And then, so I'm just saying, so I would have I agree. I agree everything you're saying. I think Triple G would beat him too. I'm just saying, if the fight was going to happen, it would have had to have happened at 175. That's all. It would have happened.
Look,
it wouldn't have been.
If you think Canelo stalled out Triple G's career, Andre would have ruined his career. He would have asked for 3 fucking tune-ups, and then he wouldn't have been able to make the weight, and would have tried to renegotiate at 172, and then would have low-blowed the shit out of him, elbowed the shit out of him, and Max Kellerman would have sucked his dick throughout the whole fucking telecast and convinced people that Triple G got schooled. I mean, let's not talk about the irrelevant Andre Ward, man. That dude is.
I think Andre.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Honestly, I think Andre Ward would have beat him because of size. I think that he's strong. That dude is a strong man. I think the size would have carried him well. He would have beat Triple G. But I don't think. Again, that's just an opinion. I just don't think Triple G does.
Well, why is was he supposed to? Hold on, let me just ask the question. Let me just ask the question.
There was no point in going to 168. Come on.
Exactly. Why was he supposed to fight Triple G? Did he have? I mean, was he supposed to fight Ward? Why did he have that obligation to go up 2 divisions?
The statement was they said that they would beat anybody from his division to up to 168.
Right.
And that's when the fight got started.
That's true. Now, that comment was made right after a fight. And, after a fight, you're all excited and you're calling everybody out. They were saying, oh, yeah, Golovkin can go to 154, drain himself to 154 to fight Floyd Mayweather. Obviously, they were saying all this bullshit. But
Andre Ward said he'll fight anybody from 160 to 175. And then when it came time for Chad Dawson and the lineal title would have been on the line, where did he take the fight?
Yeah, why bring the guy 1 to 168? I mean, come on.
Well, that was Chad Dawson's fault, though, for saying that he was willing to go 168.
Of course. But then again, if Ward actually wants some real legacy, then he goes up to 175 and fights the lineal champion at his own weight division.
That's true. That's why I always say.
Put it this way: Danielle Boone, right, has sparred Kovalev. Actually, didn't even fight Kovalev. I don't remember, but
yeah, he did.
He fought Ward, and he sparred probably one of Triple G's biggest sparring opponents. You know what I mean? Spars him all the time. And he emphatically states that Triple G hits harder than Kovalev and is a lot more technically sound. And he said if they fought, and he said because it wasn't even a hesitation. Who do you think wins, Kovalev? And he goes, Triple G, all day. I mean, he didn't even hesitate. So this is another I always listen to these guys. You know what I mean? If he's saying it, I fought them both. He hits harder and more precise. I mean, he was,
Well,
so
Andre Ward is
you got to take that into consideration too. I'm not saying I agree with you too. Man. Very strong and very cerebral. As much as I dislike him, he's a cerebral fighter. He knows what to do in there. He can cheat just right. He's smart enough to do what he does, and he's smart enough to get everything in his way. But in the meantime, he got himself no fans. Think about it: a Russian, a Ukrainian, a fucking Kazakhstani, and a Mexican kicked his fucking balls in his own country that he wanted to go medal for.
That's different. That's because we know the politics. We know boxing is a racist sport, so we're not going to do
that.
How does
boxing is a racist sport? We're not going to do that. So wait a minute. We're not going to do. So wait a minute. You're saying that people went to people's homes and said, "Don't buy these fights because this is fucking buy this fight's a white fighter." And
hold on. One at a time.
Trap. You don't think that Andre Ward was basically over promoted for what he's
No, I said that. I said I felt he was overrated, but I'm saying in America, we had this conversation on the other channel. In America, they don't see, oh man, that's a Kazakhstan. They see that's a fighter that looks like me, and I'll support him before I support the U.S. black athlete.
I just look at him as a fighter.
You know what I'm saying? You might, but we know a bunch of people don't.
Right.
Boxing is the last sport where you can still have a racial bias, because in all the other sports, in the NBA, all you have is black superstars. In the NFL, all you get now, even at quarterback position, now you're starting to get all black superstars. In
what about hockey?
You can see someone who looks like you. So, and that's where people have racial biases, and it's the last sport you can still have that.
No, you miss hockey, man. Hockey,
I think
there's no blacks in hockey.
It's not.
You know, that guy's not exciting. That's a fact. That guy's not exciting to watch. He's dirty. He's boring. That's it. You don't have to take the racial route, though.
That has to play a huge factor in it. The fact that one fighter knocks motherfuckers out that, you know, like highlight knockouts, and the other guy hugs people to death all night. That doesn't, listen, people.
Spence not
exactly. And if he continues, listen, you want to see a kid who will become popular? If he continues his route, if he's promoted properly, Errol Spence.
Absolutely.
Bingo. Articulate.
Oh, yeah, he will. Look at Mayweather. Okay. What about Mayweather? What was he popular?
Mayweather was popular because he played the villain. You know, the black man that
come on. You can't. I mean, come on. Jesus Christ. You can play the villain.
Hold on, one at a time, please.
Play the villain?
Hold on, one at a time, please. One at a time.
So, one at a time. Not at all. Andre Ward is not the black guy that you're like, oh my God, I hate this guy. He carries himself the right way outside the ring, and he's not putting on that typical show, that hip hop, that bravado type personality. He just carries himself the right way. And
well,
he's
first
not
of all,
bring in your average black fan because they want to see that hip hop type personality. So he's
let me say this,
young viewer.
Let me say this.
It's all right.
Hold on. What
type personality?
Then I agree with what you just said right there, brother, because you are making some good points. No, I'm not going to say it. You know what I mean? I'll agree with what you just said. I actually think it's more an indictment on the black people. You just said black fans don't want to go to him because he doesn't have that hip hop type style. He does carry himself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that he should have more. That's the shame on black people. They should be supporting their own too, because he definitely identifies as black.
But it's programming. It's programming, and then you got to understand we got so much to support in every other sport. Boxing isn't the big sport for black people no more. We're more into the NBA.
It isn't.
That's why the NBA is growing faster than the NFL right now. So we're more into other sports. Black people, it's not like the 60s where we was all into Ali and all that type stuff. Now we into the NBA, the NFL. We're not paying attention to boxing like that. And then those who are, a lot of them like the UFC more than boxing because they feel that boxing is more, technical and the UFC is more action.
Well, I can tell you from my personal experience and anybody I know and everybody I hang around with, I wouldn't give a fuck if Gennady Golovkin was pink with yellow polka dots. I'm going to watch that kid fight. And if he was black, I'd just like Spence. Marvin Hagler, to me, like I said, is, you know what I mean? I never looked at him. When I'd sit there in the gym and watch him train like a fanboy, I'd just sit there with my jaw open. I wasn't looking, I'm like, wow, look at that black guy hit the bag. No, I was like, wow, look at everything this guy does. So I can't relate like that, unfortunately, that you're right that some people are that way. Oh, look at, but I know when I see Lomachenko and I see Triple G in street clothes, I say, fuck, I got nothing in common with them dudes. Look at them shoes.